All right, hi guys. This video is being posted so that we can watch it before Tuesday, get caught up with chapters 1 and 2 before Tuesday. And the reason I want us to get caught up is because I know that I've had a couple of us reach out and say, Mr. Thompson, I'm reading, but I don't quite understand this book yet. Okay, I've had others that have been honest and said, yeah, I really haven't been reading. And then I've had others that have been reading very well and going through the chapters and seem to have a good grip for what this book is about. So this video is hopefully going to be helpful for all of those categories of us. So all of us that are that I just mentioned, this video should help you. Okay. So we're going to talk about both chapters 1 and 2. Okay. We're going to talk about also a big theme that I noticed in these first few chapters, and a theme that we're also going to notice that is going to be picked up upon in our next chapters as well. Okay. So for starters, it's by no surprise now that we have two groups of people that don't like each other. Okay, two groups. We could even go as far as to say two gangs. Okay, so the groups are individuals that they only hang out with their types of people, and they don't like anyone else that are outside of that type. Okay, and that's for both groups. The greasers are that way, and the socials are that way. So there's stereotypes, or a stereotype is a judgment that I think that we make on these two groups, and you're going to find out that stereotypes aren't always true. Okay, but the stereotype of a soc, okay, is somebody that is very well kept, somebody that probably has a nice car, somebody that probably has a nice home, somebody that you know are very well liked in school, very popular. I guess would be the word to describe them. And then the opposite side, we have the greasers. And the greasers are the opposite by they're not very well kept. Okay, they got long, greasy hair. They're not coming from very well home or very well-to-do homes. They're not driving the nicest cars that they can. They are maybe not so popular at school. Maybe it's the kid that you're walking down the hallway and you're kind of afraid of a little bit, because these are guys that steal. These are guys that will rob stores. These are guys that will fight you. That are very just rough, tough individuals. Okay. Um, but the theme that I want to talk about here is that stereotypes are not always what we think. Okay, so a stereotype is not always what we might think it might be. Um, for instance, when we talk about all these character traits that resemble a soc, Ponyboy talks about his brother Derry. Well, Derry went to the high school and did really good in football. He was a very or a very good athlete. He actually was so good that they were going to give him a scholarship to go to college. Okay, not a whole lot of greasers were getting that. Ponyboy even says if it wasn't for him and Soda Pop, he thinks Derry would probably be a soc himself. But he hangs out with the greasers. We think about Ponyboy himself, okay, our narrator, our main character in this whole story. He's a type of guy that enjoys going to the movie theaters and watching movies. He enjoys, we'll find out later on, watching sunsets. He likes to think about things. He's very talented, very smart in school. So the stereotype that maybe people might shine on him isn't true either. Okay, if we were looking at it from an outsider's view, maybe he cleaned up his hair a little bit and hung out with a different group, and suddenly he went from being a greaser to a soc, right? But they don't like saying that because they like to only stay with their group. Okay, so they're gonna stay with the greasers. That's what they're used to. That's what they're familiar with. The socials, they're only going to stay with the socials because that's what they're used to. That's what they're familiar with. Well, like I said, I think this book does a beautiful job at really showing that things are not always as they may seem. That's another thing that we're going to pick up in this. Things that are not, there's a saying, and I'm sure you've heard it before, that the grass is not always greener on the other side, right? So we might look at people and we might think, well, they have it going. They got everything. Their lives are perfect. There's another saying that we hear is that maybe you need to walk a mile in their shoes because things aren't always as great as they might seem on the other end. So that's kind of the themes that we're picking up on coming into these two chapters, the stereotypes that we've heard about so far. Let's talk about some of our characters, okay? So I already mentioned Derry, the oldest brother of Soda Pop and Ponyboy. And Derry, like we said, he's a father figure for these two. Okay, he takes care of these two. He's looking after them because both of his parents have passed away, and he doesn't want his brothers to have to go into into like a adoption center or anything like that. He wants to be the one to take care of him. Derry also is rough on Pony. We find out Pony doesn't like him a whole lot. Okay, he doesn't like him in the case because, well, maybe the word "not like" isn't a good word. He's kind of, what's the word? He's kind of skittish around Derry, just because. I mean, maybe some of us have had parents that have been a little rough on you, maybe very strict and such. Well, that's kind of like how Derry is with Pony. Um, let's talk about Soda Pop. Soda Pop, super good looking guy. Okay. It talks about how all the girls go to the gas station that he works at just so they can see him, right? Because Ponyboy says he's like a movie theater star. Okay. He's got those really handsome, good looks in that. But what's different about Soda Pop is that he doesn't go to school. He dropped out of school. And at this point in time, we don't really know why he dropped out of school. And it's something that bothers Ponyboy a lot because he knows that, once again, that stereotype of someone that drops out of school is not a stereotype that he thinks fits his brother. We got Ponyboy, and I mentioned that Ponyboy, he kind of is, not kind of, he is. He's a lot different from the rest of the group. He's a lot more talented, I would say. He's a lot more intellectual. He thinks a lot more about things. He likes to go to the movie theaters. He's very smart. He gets good grades. So he doesn't fit that stereotype of being a greaser very much. We learn a lot more in this chapter, in chapter 2, about Johnny. Okay, Johnny Cakes, they call him. Johnny is the type of guy that I think really would probably get judged by a lot of people. Probably doesn't wear the nicest clothes. Probably doesn't seem like the most friendly of individuals in that. We'll find out later inside the story that Johnny's the one that probably has the biggest heart out of all these people. But they talk about him being almost like a beaten puppy. I don't know if you've ever seen a dog that maybe their owner has abused them. If you've ever gone to what's that called? Where they all kinds of stray dogs go to, I don't know, a pound. If you ever go to a pound, you'll see kind of that, where some dogs maybe weren't treated very well, and you go to pet them and they're kind of scared right away when you go to pet them. Well, that's Johnny. Johnny's the type of guy that is unfortunately coming from a really rough home life. His dad beats him. His mom doesn't like him, doesn't care what's happening to him, doesn't care where he's at or anything like that. And then also already when life is rough for him, he's going and walking home one day and he gets jumped by a group of socials so bad to the point that they said they really didn't even recognize him when they seen him. So he's kind of really down in the dumps right now. He's been beaten up on. He doesn't have a good home life. Only thing that he really has going for him is his friends, the Greasers. And that's another thing, is the Greasers are very loyal. We talk about that a lot in chapter 2, about how Johnny is very loyal to the Greasers. Ponyboy is very loyal to the Greasers. And same thing with the Socias. The Socias are very loyal to their crew. Okay, they're not going to go and venture outside of their crew at all, because that's only the way things have been, and that's all they've known, and that's how it's going to be. So we learn about Johnny, how he got beat up. We learn about how afraid he is or timid he is around really anybody now because of it. But we also see another side of Johnny, a side that really shocked even Johnny himself. And that was a side where he sticks up for both Cherry and Marcia, who are Socias. So that kind of seems strange. Not only is it strange that he sticks up for both these girls, but he sticks up to them when it's Dally that is picking on them, right? So in this chapter, in chapter 2, we talk about how Dally is coming around. He's picking on these two girls. Let me rewind, okay? So we've got Dally, who is bringing the boys in, or sneaking the boys into this drive-in movie theater. Okay, he's the type of guy that just doesn't ever do things the right way. Okay, he said that he even had money that he could have paid to get into the movie theater, but he didn't want to do it. That'd been too easy. So he wants to just break into the movie theater and really go and cause no good. Okay, he's going to go pick on people. He's going to mess around. He thinks that's fun. So the very first people that he comes into contact with are two socials, okay, or two Socias, which are Cherry and Marcia. Both girls are kind of afraid of Dally. They're kind of annoyed by Dally. He's not being very respectful to them. And out of all people, Johnny, the very timid one, sticks up for these two girls and tells Dally to leave them alone. Well, Dally, he doesn't like that, okay? But Dally, the difference between Dally and the rest of them is he has a heart for Johnny. Is he really likes Johnny. He feels like Johnny could have been like his younger brother. And rather than getting up and fighting like he normally would when somebody, back talks him, he does something different. He gets up and walks away. Then we have Pony Boy, Cherry, Marcia, and Johnny all sitting together enjoying the movie. They're talking a little bit more and getting to know a little bit about each other, and which is really rare for these two groups because, like I said, they don't like to venture outside of their group. So they're getting to know each other. Then we have another one of our characters on the greaser side, Two-Bit, that we learn a little bit more about. So Two-Bit, as we mentioned, is a student that has been in school for a while because he got held back. And he is kind of a wisecracker, always joking around, always in a good mood. So he comes and shows up and hangs out with both Pony Boy and Johnny, Marcia, and Cherry. And they're all talking, having a good time, so on and so forth. Well, one thing in this chapter that I noticed right away was when both Cherry and Pony Boy go in to get some snacks for the movie, everybody's looking at them. Everybody's watching them. Why are they watching them? Well, because of those stereotypes we talked about in the beginning. Is you don't normally see a greaser with a Soc. Okay, and these two are walking together. So people don't like that. People only like it when it's their norm. Okay, when it's normal for them, it's okay. When it's not very normal for them, they get kind of angry. So people aren't very happy that these two are walking together. And we kind of ended the chapter off with the two walking together and being with each other, and then we just ended there. Okay, so in this chapter, we got to learn little bit more about Johnny. We got to learn a little bit more about the Socias. We got to learn a little bit more about Two-Bit, Pony Boy, just the gang in general, right? So that's kind of where we're at so far in our book. And going into chapter 3, we're going to come into another thing I like about this book is that it just builds up to that climax very beautifully. Okay, the climax or the really high point of the story is coming up here soon, and everything after that, the falling action is beautiful as well. So chapter 3, I look forward to reading it with you guys. I think it's a chapter you're going to enjoy, and I hope you guys have enjoyed both chapters 1 and 2 as well, and kind of are up to date on what was happening, what's been going on, and we will go from there. So thank you for listening, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.